Y'all, we got coaches returning to the school where they played and won national championships at. We got thrillers in the Big Ten. We got teams transforming before our very eyes. That's not who they were in week 1, and it's only week 4. Y'all, I know what that means. It's C of B with Ziggy, and this is the week 4 recap. And we getting straight to it right now, right here. Let's get it. Hey, you know we got to start off with that Tennessee versus Oklahoma. Yes, y'all, this is a conference game. This is a big game for both teams. Like I just said in that intro, Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel returning to Norman, Oklahoma, where he played, won a national championship in 2000, then also became a coach later on during some of their glory days of the 20 teens. So this is a game where, as much as he wants to keep it very level-headed and about the players, there was emotions involved. He definitely had some people in the stands, some relatives, some close people. So he's got to focus on establishing Tennessee as a legit contender. And on the other side, you got Oklahoma in their first SEC game at home against a high-powered offense. And they had a lot to prove. So how did that game turn out? Well, for starters, the Sooners defense definitely came out to play. They came out ready. They knew what they had on their hands. Tennessee came in averaging 40, 50 points a game. Just scored 100 the other day. I'm just playing, but not really. And they really came out, punched Tennessee in the mouth defensively, and forced Tennessee to change their game plan. And it was very effective. They got the crowd into it, which is a great way to start. But that was just defensively. Offensively, it did not go so well for the Sooners. Jackson Arnold did not play well himself. He went 7 for 16, 54 yards, and an interception. This is the same Jackson Arnold that was highly touted out of high school. Great attributes coming out of the Elite 11, high 5-star recruit, and it's just not panning out to be. And honestly, as a fan of the sport, I hate to see when highly talented players from the high school level do not pan out the way you would expect at the college ranks. And there was a lot of buzz on how much he would be able to do in the preseason for Oklahoma, and it didn't look good. He was making bad decisions and not seeing the field correctly from a QB standpoint, and it was so bad that this man got benched. And Sooner fans, I'm sure y'all was happy to see that. So in comes backup Michael Hawkins Jr. And he actually had a decent day. He went 11 for 18 for 132 yards and a touchdown, which isn't bad for a true freshman coming in backup duty in such a big game. But unfortunately, it was probably too little too late because Tennessee defense dominated. And for a team to have such a high-powered offense, the defense was the story of the game. Easily. Prime example is there was 2 situations where Tennessee's offense fumbled the ball and their defense got them the ball right back the next play. Like, that's crazy to happen once in a game, but twice? No, there's something there. That's part of that defensive identity showing up. Any Tennessee fan, coach, anyone who's been hyping up this defense, they weren't blowing smoke. It is for real, which is what they've needed to really compete. They've always had the offense, really since at least 2022. But now they have a defense to complement the high-powered offense. Now they're getting it. Now Tennessee and now Heupel has them in a position to really be a contender, not just for the SEC, but for the national championship, at least as of week 4. And although as a Georgia fan, I'm not really big on Tennessee, I got to give credit where it's due. They look good. I got to be honest. But back to that defense, they held Oklahoma out of the end zone for 3 quarters on the road. When they say defense travels, they not playing, bruh. Nico Iamaleava nailed it again. QB for Tennessee, he did just enough. He went 13 for 21, 194 yards and a touchdown. That's not bad against Brent Venables defense on the road in your first road conference game. That's huge. Nico held his composure for the most part throughout the game. He got punched in the mouth for sure, got sacked several times, but he maintained that composure, and that was just so key to see from him. And he did take advantage of his moments. There were some deep shots that he took. He had a couple to Brew McCoy. He had a touchdown to Dante Thornton. Hey, sometimes that's all it takes when your defense is playing at such a great level. You don't have to do too much on offense. And so, like I said, Tennessee has definitely established themselves officially as a SEC and national championship contender. And so it's yet to be seen, can they maintain this and keep this going? The AP poll just came out and they're now ranked 5th. Oklahoma, on the other hand, the Sooners have a great defense, but there's major QB concerns, which might have been alleviated to a degree in the fourth quarter because y'all probably going to start Michael Hawkins Jr. Like if you're going to bench Jackson Arnold in that game and get that performance in quote-unquote mop-up duty, you might as well keep it with Hawkins and just see. He may be the quarterback that gives y'all the best chance to win, Sooner fans, whether y'all agree with me or not. So they've got a lot to work on. And Tennessee has a lot to keep up with. That hype train is going, but it can be derailed at any moment. Next game's up. Tennessee has a bye week before they play Arkansas, which could end up being an interesting game. Oklahoma has Auburn. Auburn is on the downtrend right now. They've got issues of their own, so hopefully Oklahoma can pull out this win and not go back-to-back conference losses, because at that point, they're out of it for the season. So Sooner fans, go ahead and start praying, hoping that Brent Venables gets his team right. And we're going to see. Love to see it. But shout out to Tennessee for really proving themselves so far. Man. That was not the closest game of the day or the best game of the day, unless you're a Tennessee fan. It had to have been USC versus Michigan. Another game where we have a new entry into a conference. USC is now in the Big Ten. That's crazy to think that that is a conference game. If you heard USC versus Michigan anytime before this season, you're thinking Rose Bowl. That's a historic Rose Bowl matchup. They've had some great games down there in Pasadena. But nope, this was a conference game. And the Trojans came in off of a bye week and off of a great performance against LSU in week 1 and dominating Utah State. But the defense was improving, and that was key. Just like I just said about Tennessee, these are teams who have already been known for having great offenses, but no defense in sight to complement it. USC finally has improved. But was it enough to go on the road against Michigan, who they themselves took a bad loss to Texas in Ann Arbor a couple weeks ago and looking to prove themselves with their back against the wall, already have a loss? Michigan knocks off the Trojans 27-24 in thrilling fashion. Man, that was a great game, y'all. Whew. Now, for starters, Michigan's defense came out to play. Like I said, they got punched in the mouth by the Longhorns, and they was like, nope, no more. They want to maintain the identity that they've always had. Regardless of Jim Harbaugh leaving and all the players leaving to the NFL, Sharon Moore wants to keep the identity of being a strong, hard-nosed, punch-in-the-mouth defense, punch-in-the-mouth run game. And that defense came out to play. They made it a defensive battle early. Ended up with 4 sacks and 8 tackles for loss against a great USC offense. Crowd was on fire. Michigan decided to start Orgy as far as the starting quarterback position. So that should tell you off rip that Sharon Moore's game plan was to really punch USC in the mouth in the trenches and in the run game. They were thinking, hey, USC, if you claim you have improved defense, we're just going to try one aspect of it. How's your run defense looking? Because we're coming with it. And to be honest, they exposed USC's run defense. And they exposed them early. And by they, I mean specifically Khalil Mullings. Michigan fans, y'all got y'all another one because Khalil Mullings went off 17 carries, 159 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Hit him with a 53-yard touchdown early, and that popped it off. And y'all boy, Donovan Edwards, had one of his own for 41 yards. He has 74 yards rushing total. Michigan is up 14-0 in the second in a game where USC was projected to win. No, everybody was already doubting Michigan after the Texas loss. And this just goes to show you that what Josh Pate says is true. Check out Josh Pate, College Football Show. Every week is a mini season within the big season. So you can't just identify a team by how they perform in 1 week, positive or negative. Things can change with a quickness, and Michigan showed y'all that. So Michigan's up 14-0 in the second half. They ended up with 290 rushing yards. They were looking to expose USC's run defense and dominate all game long, and they did that. And I mean, that's all they really wanted to do. Because Alex Orji threw it 7 for 12 for 32 yards. Not for no quarter, not for no drive, for the game. They had no intentions on throwing the ball for real. So how is USC going to respond to that? Miller Moss came out after that point and in the second half and showed that he is a legit quarterback. In his first start on the road in the Big Ten game, this man went 28 for 52, 283, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Miller Moss wasn't just going to let that game slip through their hands. He held his own. They cut the lead to 14-10, and they had all the momentum. But then Miller Moss threw a pick 6 to Will Johnson. Boom, momentum shifts back over. Michigan is up 21-10. And that's All-American Will Johnson. All-Americans do All-American things. And so it got pretty tough again. And the identity and the hallmark of a great team is how do you respond to adversity? And they responded. USC did okay on the ground themselves. Woody Martz goes 13 carries for 100 yards. USC cut the lead 20-17. Then they force a fumble by Donovan Edwards in the fourth quarter and score another touchdown to take the lead halfway through the fourth. At that point, the pressure's back on Michigan to see, can they maintain what they were doing up to that point? They could have easily crumbled in that position, down 4 in the fourth quarter. But got to give them credit. They definitely did their thing in response to that touchdown pass to Page to go up 24-20. Mullings has a huge run late in the fourth where he broke a tackle, spun out of it. USC defender had him, broke free, goes all the way down. They were stopped. They got all the way to the goal line, were stopped 3 plays in a row. 4th and goal, they score a touchdown. They go up 27-24. USC gets the ball back. They're stopped on their own 4th down play by a yard. Game. What a crazy game. Now, even after a loss, USC is not, I don't view them any differently than I did going into that game because Michigan is still known to do these type of things. And although USC's defense has been improving, we clearly see they have a lot to work on, at least on the run side. So for Michigan, this is a huge confidence boost. A big bounce back from their loss 2 weeks ago, and they get a good ranked win, and they're looking good on the ground in the process. But on the other side of that coin, Michigan fans, y'all can't just expect to just be able to do that for the rest of y'all schedule, and hopefully y'all know that. Ain't no way teams like Oregon and your arch nemesis, Ohio State, is just going to allow y'all to do that. Now, to be fair, y'all done ran over Ohio State the past few times that y'all played them. So, but still, there's a running aspect that you're going to need. So, you need to keep that in mind, Sharon Moore, coaching staff. Y'all going to have some semblance of a throwing game at some point if you want to contend for the playoff. USC, run defense was exposed, so y'all have a lot to work on. So we're gonna see real soon if they can bounce back. Next game's up, USC has Wisconsin, and Michigan has their rivalry against Minnesota. Oh, man. We went from the SEC to the Big Ten. Now let's go to the Big 12. We had Utah and Oklahoma State. And yes, another incidence of a new entry into a conference playing a big conference game. Utah on the road in Stillwater. Oklahoma State was one of the favorites going into the year to win the Big 12. Could Utah in their first year come in and snatch that momentum and become the leader themselves? They did. Utah beat Oklahoma State 22-19. And to be fair, Utah really dominated this game, which was crazy because Utah was without their starting quarterback, 18-year senior, Cam Rising. So they're going with the freshman Isaac Wilson. Isaac Wilson goes 17 for 29, 207 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Not great stats, but for a true freshman coming in for the senior starter who's injured, it's not much more that you can expect from a freshman. But to be honest, he didn't really need to do too well because Utah's defense traveled and held Oklahoma State to 48 yards rushing. I don't think y'all heard me, bro. Utah defense held Oklahoma State with that vaunting offensive line. Ollie Gordon came in as the best running back in the nation to 48 yards rushing. That is exposure, if you ask me. Like, what? What happened? So in the absence of their leader, Cam Rising, Utah's defense stepped up to the plate on the road. Oklahoma State quarterback Alan Bowman went 16 for 33, 206, 2 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. That wasn't going to do it. So Utah went up 22-3 in the fourth quarter. It was basically over. Now they threw some points at the end, but it was too little, too late. So now off this game alone, Utah has now established themselves as the Big 12 leader. And they're the newcomers. Big 12 teams, y'all just gonna allow that? Cowboy fans, y'all, for real? Y'all cool with that? Because Utah's feeling themselves now. They don't feel like the Big 12 is really as great and scary as maybe people try to convince them if they was able to handle this type of game on the road against Oklahoma State. And honestly, Oklahoma State leaves Saturday with more questions than answers. I mean, I don't know. They're going to have to get them answered early with a quickness. And by early, I mean 7 days, because their next game up is against Kansas State. Kansas State is coming off of getting punched in the mouth by BYU. So Oklahoma State better get it figured out, because if not, they're going to have 2 back-to-back losses. And that type of situation from a Big 12 team, you might as well kiss the playoff goodbye. Done deal. So that's what they got next. And Utah has Arizona next. And that could be an interesting game. We're going to see. So those are the 3 biggest games. We've got a few more to talk about real quickly here. Let's go back to Friday. Illinois beat Nebraska 31-24 in overtime. I don't know if y'all caught that game, but that was a good ranked versus ranked Big Ten matchup. Huskers finally got pushed by an ascending team and QB in Luke Altmaier. And Dylan Raiola got put to his first real test, even though they were at home. Luke Altmaier for Illinois went 21 for 27, 215 yards and 4 touchdowns. Did his thing. It's nice to see him improve. Dylan Raiola, 24 for 35, 297, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Not bad for himself. So with such similar stat lines and it's such a great game, you see why it was close and Illinois pulled it out on the road. Both teams are ascending and doing good. And let's see if they can compete in the Big Ten and really prove themselves. Illinois 4-0, Nebraska 3-1. I don't know if y'all saw, but Clemson thrashed NC State 59-35. Is Clemson back? Is it official? I don't know, though, because I think we can safely say for sure that NC State is not a good team. They got destroyed by Tennessee, and they just got destroyed again by Clemson. NC State, I mean, I was one of the few people that bought that preseason hype that y'all could be a dark horse in the ACC. That's gone. So it looks like the ACC contenders list has now been reduced to Clemson, Miami, and Louisville. But Clemson, more specifically Cade Klubnik, that boy did his thing throwing the ball. It was against what we now know as an inferior team, but this is a far cry from how they performed against Georgia. So Georgia could be better than a lot of people realize because Clemson is looking legit. Now, it's possible that App State and NC State are just trash, but still, Clemson's doing what they're supposed to do. So can they keep this going? Because the schedule is going to change with a quickness. They have games against... Well, to be honest, Clemson's schedule isn't as daunting now as it was had they been performing like they did against Georgia. Now that they look like this, the schedule's not as bad. Their biggest game really left is Louisville. And then maybe Miami if they make it to the ACC championship. So let's see where they go from here. Speaking of Louisville, Louisville takes care of Georgia Tech 31-19. Close game into the fourth quarter where Louisville pulled away, did their thing against a good Yellow Jacket team. So the question is Louisville legit? 4-0. But the schedule does get real early, as in starting this week, against an improved Notre Dame team. And then they also have to play Miami and Clemson. So we're going to find out who's real in the ACC and who's not very soon. Missouri struggles against Vandy, but escapes 30-27 in overtime. And to be quite honest, Missouri could have easily lost that game. I'm so real, y'all. Vandy is legit. Like, it's over trying to dump on Vandy. They are legit. Clark Lee has these boys performing greatly. And that boy Pavia, if you don't know the name Pavia, I forget his first name. Quarterback for Vandy, y'all better tap in because that boy ain't playing. He is legit. So, Vandy fans, y'all have a lot to look forward to. So, this is a crushing loss. And I know you don't want to look at this as a moral victory, but y'all are improving. And that's something to hang on to. Keep that going. Now, Missouri may be a better team than they showed against Vanderbilt, but they got to improve. And just because your schedule looks pretty easy and you're hearing that, you've been hearing it since the preseason, don't take it for granted because somebody will pop you. But I got to shout out to Nate Noel on the ground. 199 yards rushing for Missouri more than likely was the difference for them. So, Missouri, don't keep playing around like that. And we got LSU and Miami in both of their respective games struggle early but pull away late, which was good to see. So, LSU beats UCLA 34-17, and they held the Bruins to 14 yards rushing. I mean, boom, there's a game right there. So, good to see LSU get the win. And looking forward to see the Tigers improve because the schedule will get real. They have Ole Miss very soon at home. That's going to be their first huge test. Miami was only up 7 at the half against USF. But they made some halftime adjustments and ended up winning the game 50-15. See, you hear that score, you see that, you wouldn't think the game was close. It was close for a couple quarters. But that just goes to show that USF is legit. Same thing I was just saying about Vandy, USF is real. We saw what they did against Bama, and now we see what they just did against Miami. I don't know. The USF may be a year or 2 years away from being a conference contender and maybe vying for the playoff. So shout out to USF. So Miami did their thing. They are looking to be not only ACC contender, but also playoff national championship contender. So getting that result was huge for them. Cam Ward went crazy. He's definitely at the top of the Heisman board. So it's going to be interesting to see where he and they go from here, for sure. So that was week 4, y'all. Wrapped up real quick, real nice and tight like that. So great week of football. we got a great one coming up. We got some huge matchups, y'all. And the biggest of which being Georgia versus Alabama as a regular season game in Tuscaloosa. So you know we're going to tap in and talk about that one. So stay tuned in. This has been your new favorite college football show, CFB with Ziggy. Like, comment, subscribe. Share with 5 people, man. You know you want to. They deserve to hear it because you liked it. Come on now. Stay tuned in. Got some more fire for y'all. Yes, sir.